dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis, siete, ocho, uno, dos.
Hola amigos! Welcome to Singing Señorita, where I shared lesson plans, organizational ideas, and teaching tips that I've learned after 23 years of teaching. So today is going to be super short because I'm going to share my level 3 lessons with you this week, and we only have a 4-day week because we have off for Martin Luther King. So on Tuesday, when my students come back, I'm still a little behind because we had a snow day, so I'm having to shift my lessons. So I talked about this last week, but I'm going to talk about it again because I had to move it till Monday. So what I have is a stations activity where I put my students in groups and they move through the different stations. In these stations, I have patient complaints. So there's like this one, no duermo bien, siempre estoy cansado. And students in groups are going to come up with commands, because we've been learning about formal commands. So they're going to use an usted command to tell what this person needs to do to solve the problem. So what I have are these different squares, and what I made with this resource is I made a template. If you want to use it, you may just want to use post-it notes because I made them about the size of a post-it note, or just squares of paper, or you might just have them right in on the actual piece of paper. I prefer to give them their cute little pieces of paper, so they have the little prescription symbol just to make it feel like we're really going through the process. So I have them, each group will have a different color. That way I can see the progression for each group and what they're writing. I'm going to set up like 6 or 7 different stations, and they're going to see the different problems. So solo bebo café para el desayuno. So this person is skipping a meal, so they're going to give them suggestions. So we were going to do this last week, but actually I think this is a better time because not only have we gone through the vocabulary in the doctor's office in el consultorio, but they're also this week learning about nutrition. So I think this is going to help. So in the stations, what they're going to do, they're going to talk about the problem as a group. They're going to come up with a solution, and when they come to a consensus, they're going to write it on their little sheet and glue it on there. And then when the time is up, they're going to shift to a new group. Now, this might sound super simple for a whole group to have to write one, but it gets more challenging as they move through the groups. So every time we get a new group in that station, they cannot write the same command as the group before. So you can see how that would get more and more challenging as we move through the groups. Then on Wednesday, they're learning about nutrition. So I give my students their vocab on Quizlet. So this one, the nutrition vocab list, has about 30 words. And I can leave the link to my Quizlet so you can see the words that I'm using each week. And what I have my students, I made up a research question sheet that has questions about nutrition. And I'm going to give some suggested links to my students on websites that talk about nutrition that are in Spanish. Then they're going to research different things. So that worksheet has more generalized questions, such as what are 3 foods that contain calcium? What are 3 foods that contain protein? How much fiber should a person eat in a day? So just generalized questions that they may automatically know the answer to, they may have to research. And then some of them are actually specific questions to their own body, such as what is the appropriate weight for your stature? So these are questions. The reason why I wanted to do this is because, one, they're reading questions and answering in a full sentence, but they're also reading from real websites in Spanish to find the information. So they're getting just more than the vocabulary. They're seeing it in context. And then also they're actually learning about things that they need to know for their own physical body. So it's not just learning Spanish. They're actually learning things that they need to know for life. And so that's why I wanted to come up with this, to let them do a little bit of research on their own and find stuff out, and me not just tell them everything. Then the next day, usually what I do is I'll give them some kind of activity to do that will prepare them for the quiz the next day. So then we're having their vocabulary quiz. So I isolate different sets of vocab and then have a quiz over that section before we get to the test. So they've already used the vocabulary in context and have to know it before we hit the final chapter test. Then on the final day of the week, we are learning formal commands. When we finished with our lessons, they finished with all of the things that they were supposed to do, practicing for individual work. And this final day before we actually take a quiz over that, what I'm doing is I'm having a basket of verbs with health suggestions, and they'll be in the infinitive form, such as comer frutas y vegetales. And then what students have to do, there'll be 4 students per group. So student number 1 will have to put it in the to form. Student number 2 will have to put it in the negative to form. And then student number 3 will have to put it in the usted. And then student number 4 will have to put it in the ustedes. So each one of the groups. And then what I'm going to do, because in my class, each seat is numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4, so that each student has to learn how to write the different forms. I'll say this time we're starting with number 2. So number 2 will write the to form. Number 3 will write the negative. And then the next time, person number 3 will start, so that all of them get to work on all forms. And so it will be more of a rapid pace thing, so that we're all moving. And then I'm going to have them get up and check out somebody else's and proof what the other students wrote. So there's going to be, they're checking each other's work so that they're seeing common errors, and then we'll go over it and find out. That way they're seeing and correcting and they're writing. So they're doing all of those things to prepare them for my quiz over formal commands. And then on the chapter test, that will be informal and formal combined. That's why we're doing them both in one activity. So those are my plans for this week. We are going to do some other activities, such as practicing vocab. So if you've never used Quizlet to practice vocab, there's a great short activity. If you just have a good 5-10 minutes where you need something to do, and that's what I plan to do before this, is have Quizlet Live. Quizlet Live is super fast. It's a minute or 2 each round, and I usually do 2 or 3 rounds. So that's a good thing to practice their vocabulary, to get them really involved, and that they love it. It's super fun for them because it's fast paced. And for me, it only takes a few minutes, and it gives them just that moment where they're not studying with a piece of paper. So those are my different ideas for this week. Let me know in the comments if any of these ideas that you're going to use in your class, and go ahead and subscribe to this channel if this is helping you if you enjoy these ideas, so that you don't miss any of these updates that I'm giving you on my own lesson plans. And I hope you have an awesome week this week, and happy teaching. Adios.
1, 2.